If I was describing someone to you and I said they're very loyal, you'd probably make the assumption that they're a pretty good person. In most cases, loyalty is a great personality trait to have. In the business world, loyalty is often rewarded. Many companies will offer perks to say thank you to their customers for their loyalty, and cruise lines are no different. For many years, my family was incredibly loyal to one particular cruise line. But now, sometimes when we look back at all of our years of cruising, I wonder if we were a bit too loyal. What's the term they use for that? I think they call it blind loyalty. Hi everyone, I'm Jamie from Sharon Travel. Thanks for stopping by today for the video. Every cruise line has some form of loyalty program that offers benefits to their repeat customers with the hopes that they'll always make them their first choice when they plan their next cruise. Now, I'm not here today to break down each cruise line's loyalty program, but I do want to find out if in today's cruising climate, it's worth it to be loyal to just one cruise line. Now, let me give you a little backstory. My wife Sharon and I took our first cruise together in 2002 with Carnival Cruise Lines on board the Carnival Elation. Back then, that ship was a big deal. Now, a few years later, when our son Matthew turned 1 year old, we took him on his first cruise on the Carnival Valor. Now, fast forward to like 2019, it wasn't until we took our 26th cruise that we tried another cruise line, and that was on Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas, which at that time was the newest and biggest cruise ship in the world. I remember that was a very big deal too. Everyone said that we would be blown away and we would totally regret taking all those Carnival cruises. They all said how great Royal was and don't worry about Carnival, it's lame, it's not good. Well, that cruise was just okay for us. The ship was amazing, the shows and the food were fantastic, but we were ready to get back to Carnival, the cruise line we had been loyal to for all those years. Now I know a bunch of you are saying, oh, Carnival? Well listen, Carnival never let us down. We always had great cruises. Our son loved it. The focus on kids was always a strong point for Carnival. The crew was always so memorable, and as we climbed the loyalty ladder more, we weren't sure if we would ever try another cruise line. We enjoyed the perks that we got, although nowadays, if you compare the loyalty perks between the cruise lines, Carnival seems to fall a bit short in what they offer. After a few more Carnival cruises, we had the chance to try Norwegian Cruise Lines. We got invited to an inaugural event on the Norwegian Encore in New York City, and we decided to go and check it out, and we were pretty darn impressed. Now, the difference between going on that cruise and going on the one on Royal Caribbean was that we had our guard down. We didn't have the huge expectations we had when we went on Symphony of the Seas. No one was telling us it would be so much better than Carnival and that we'd regret our cruises before that or anything like that. So we weren't in that cruise defensive mindset, if you can call it that. Now, that cruise was just a 2-day event, but we liked it so much we took a 7-day cruise on the Encore a few months later to get a real cruise feel, and to be honest, we loved it. After that, we said to ourselves, maybe we need to get out and try some new cruise lines and some new cruise ships. Well, a few months later, as we disembarked the Carnival Panorama, I think it was March 13, 2020 to be exact, cruising stopped for a bit, and so did a lot of our cruising plans, but as cruising returned, so did our desire to expand our cruising horizons and try those new cruise lines and cruise ships. Now, don't get me wrong, we're still pretty loyal to Carnival, but that loyalty is no longer blind. And in the last almost 3 years, we've been back to Carnival, but we've also tried a few more cruises with Royal Caribbean, a number of cruises with Norwegian Cruise Lines, and we even tried Holland America. And although that was a very different experience, we really enjoyed ourselves. So here we are today with our next few cruises being on a mixture of different cruise lines, and we're very excited for every one of those cruises. But does that mean that we're no longer loyal to our first love, Carnival? Well, I think we will always have a soft spot in our heart for Carnival. They've treated us great over the years, created amazing memories for our family. Our son grew up cruising on Carnival, and their kids' programs have always been fantastic. And even though many cruisers look down on Carnival and the people that cruise on that cruise line, all we can say is we've never had a bad Carnival cruise. Now, looking back, would I say that our loyalty was misguided? Well, in a sense, I'd say yes, or at least we could be accused of having blinders on for a number of years. And if I could go back in time, I think maybe we should have expanded our cruising horizons a few years earlier. If we would have done that, we could be at the top rung of all the cruise lines' loyalty ladders by now instead of just one, reaping all the benefits that they have to offer. I also feel like as we expanded the cruise lines we sail on, we're expanding our cruise knowledge, and that's been a great benefit to our YouTube channel, not to mention to my wife Sharon with her travel business. Now, yes, many people might say we're very lucky to have cruised so many times over the years. It's our focus. It's what we save our money for. It is our main vacation. We don't do a bunch of other things. We focus on getting on these cruise ships. Now, as for loyalty perks, well, if you do have a favorite cruise line, those perks may or may not matter to you. But as we looked more closely, it sure did seem that from a loyalty perk standpoint, Royal Caribbean and Norwegian Cruise Lines had a bit of a leg up on Carnival Cruise Lines when it came to benefits for spending more days at sea with that cruise line. Many people make the argument that the cruise lines seem to take away more things that they give back these days, but I guess when you have record-setting bookings and ships that are sailing at 100% capacity so often, there's really not much motivation to try and build the loyalty that was once so important to the cruise line industry just a few years ago. So how about you? How do you feel about cruise line loyalty? Are you more of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of person, where if you find something you like, you stick with it? Or do you like to mix it up a bit and try the different cruise lines without worrying about being loyal to any particular one? Would you consider yourself a Carnivalian? Or maybe a Royalist? Or how about a Norwegianite? I'm sorry, I don't even think that's the right word. I'm not sure what they call people that are loyal to Norwegian Cruise Lines, but I know there are a lot of people that love that cruise line. Even though we've been blessed to have the opportunity to cruise so often over the years, I would say it took a little bit of time for us to find that perfect mixture of loyalty and variety. Before you click away, make sure you jump down into the comments below and let us know where you stand when it comes to cruise line loyalty in today's cruising climate. Do you think it's a big deal? Is it important? We'd love to hear from you, and we always appreciate your comments. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and make sure to hit the notification bell so you always know when new content's coming out. Give the video a thumbs up and make sure to share it with friends and family. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.